Nuclear war. Time to prevent. We have seen simulations like this for a long time, and they are always alarming. Sarah Krebs, a professor at Cornell University in the USA, told BBC News World, where she investigates the impacts of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. These simulations are useful to reinforce deterrence. If there is no transparency, and if there is optimism about the consequences of a nuclear confrontation, it is more likely that either party will escalate its position, whether consciously or unconsciously. For Krebs, the potential damage that this type of simulation highlights may serve to enable countries with nuclear weapons to act with greater restraint. The simulation of this video provides the basis for questioning the justification for the size and use of nuclear forces. Mystery and Krebs argue that these exercises serve to stimulate reflection on the consequences of a large-scale nuclear conflict and the importance of arms control. It would be useful to add more information and actions that could be taken to reduce the danger to the simulation, said Bunn. Nuclear war is a real and growing threat. The United States and Russia have left critical agreements and treaties, while actively planning to add new types of weapons to their arsenals. Meanwhile, United States nuclear policy remains rooted in the Cold War, increasing the risk that nuclear weapons could be used again. It doesn't have to be this way. With the right policy changes, and a commitment to diplomacy, the United States, China, and Russia can be partners in reducing the nuclear threat, and you can help. What can we do, as United States citizens, and citizens of the democratic countries of the world? Engaging and educating presidential candidates, pressuring Congress to support change, holding the White House, and others' governments accountable through independent research and analysis, increasing public demand for changing nuclear weapon policies. What can we do, as the citizens of the non-democratic countries of the world? Increasing public demand for changing nuclear weapon policies. Disseminate information and videos like this, showing the terror of a nuclear war, and its catastrophic consequences. This action can be performed by any citizen of the world. Let's unite the world for the non-proliferation of atomic weapons. In fact, we urgently need agreements that reduce them to almost zero. Blast. Nuclear explosions produce air blast effects, similar to those produced by conventional explosives. The shock wave can directly injure humans, by rupturing eardrums or lungs, or by hurling people at high speed, but most casualties occur because of collapsing structures and flying debris. Thermal radiation. Unlike conventional explosions, a single nuclear explosion can generate an intense pulse of thermal radiation that can start fires and burn skin over large areas. In some cases, the fires ignited by the explosion can coalesce into a firestorm, preventing the escape of survivors. Though difficult to predict accurately, it is expected that thermal effects from a nuclear explosion would be the cause of significant casualties. Initial radiation. Nuclear detonations release large amounts of neutron and gamma radiation. Relative to other effects, initial radiation is an important cause of casualties only for low-yield explosions, less than 10 kilotons. Fallout. When a nuclear detonation occurs close to the ground surface, soil mixes with the highly radioactive fission products from the weapon. The debris is carried by the wind, and falls back to Earth over a period of minutes to hours. In addition to external exposure, individuals may also be exposed to radiation by inhalation of fallout particles, either during the passage of the cloud, or subsequently owing to resuspension of deposited particles by wind, plowing, vehicle travel, or other disturbances of the surface. The consumption of contaminated water has not been found to be a significant exposure pathway following nuclear blasts. The consumption of food contaminated by fallout from a nuclear blast, however, has proven to be a major problem. After all this catastrophe, we will still have the nuclear winter. There are roughly 24,000 nuclear weapons in the world, ranging in yield from several kilotons to perhaps 40 or 50 megatons, making an average of 480,000 megatons. Recent research, based on the simulation of the effects of a total explosion of only 5,000 megatons, for the next 10 years, points to an increase of 100 times the incidence of shortwave solar radiation, the reduction of the global average temperature in the order of 7 to 8 degrees C for several years, a reduction greater than the 5 degrees C of the last glaciation, persisting at 4 degrees C lower than the average at the end of the decade, and with falls located on the even more impressive continents -20 degrees C in North America, and -30 degrees C in Eurasia. In specific locations used as a sample, it was observed that the occurrence of minimum extreme temperatures, with levels below 0 degrees C in Iowa for an entire year, and over 2 whole years in Ukraine. For this reason, there is an urgent need for a global union, for the drastic reduction of nuclear weapons. We must use the power of social media to push our governments into this deal, before it's too late.